Greetings, comic friends. We are doing another edition of I Got the Runs. And this is a pretty big one. And it was a good time for me to go over this one because I actually just finished reading it all the way from beginning to end. It took a little while. There were some ups, there were some downs, but overall it was a lot of fun. And that run is Deadpool's first ongoing series. So this is the number one. Now this is the beginning of the 2000s. So it was the time of minus ones and Wizard number 0 issues. So those are in there as well. This is a very important series for Deadpool, not just because it is his first ongoing, but the first writer, Joe Kelly, really fleshed out and created the Deadpool that we know today, sort of the irreverent, not all there, crazy sort of Deadpool that we see in current books and the movies and all that. It's really due to Joe Kelly. Without him really fleshing out the character like he did, who knows what Deadpool would look like. So, in total, there were, in proper Deadpool fashion, there were 69 issues. And 2 annuals in addition to the number 0 and minus 1. So we're going to go through those. The Joe Kelly ran for 33 issues. 33 issues of the 69 were Joe Kelly. And then I'll talk a little bit about what happened after that. It's there's ups and there's downs, but the art on these, the cover art is very indicative of the interior art. Where I don't know how to explain this. It's not quite cartoony, but it's not your comic style art. It's hard to explain. It's very, there's not a lot of detail, I suppose, as you can see, like in facial expressions. There's Siren. There's a Siren is a love interest through this. But this is it's such a great story. The way that Deadpool is written by Kelly, again, as I say, really defined what the character is today. It also takes a couple of looks into his past. He was part of the Weapon X program in like Wolverine. Anyone that's part of the Weapon X program is kind of shrouded in mystery. They may not have all their memories or faculties, and such is the case here. Particularly when it brings in this new character, sort of the main villain through Kelly's run, is T-Ray. And T-Ray plays a significant part of Deadpool's past. He's introduced as a fellow mercenary and just really, really hates Deadpool. And they have this rivalry between them, and it's obvious that T-Ray has something against him, but it's not clear why. But as things keep going, we eventually learn why T-Ray has a hatred for Deadpool and how he's related to his past. Great like Avengers, so it's when they show up. Deadpool 11, this is a fantastic issue where he and Weasel go back to the events of Amazing Fantasy 15, and they kind of insert themselves into the role of Peter Parker. It's a really, really fun issue. It's a great standalone issue too. It's just for this one. It's an oversized issue, but it's a lot of fun. So there, I think this is making fun of they were doing a series of covers where it was just like the heads of in Marvel books. We see also the relationship between Weasel and Deadpool, as well as Deadpool and Blind Owl, comes through this, and Blind Owl is being his prisoner. It doesn't really go into why. If I can't recall why he has her, but they have a very strange relationship where she's a prisoner, but she's kind of become dependent on him. Get a lot of different other characters show up. This is also during this time in what Kelly did, and he was motivated by his love interest Teresa, was to start trying to be a good person and not killing people, which is hard for a mercenary. But the overall plot lends itself to it. He sort of gets recruited into this agency where they say like he is this going to be like the savior of the world. So he tries his best to be good and not kill people. Cable, you can have a Deadpool book without Cable showing up. Let's see. We're getting close to the end of the Kelly run. Let's just get through that here. 33. But eventually, there's this thread, and really the Kelly's whole run is really one big story. It really is the story of him trying to redeem himself as a hero with this with this other company. This company gets recruited by Dr. Bong. It's a psychiatrist. Bullseye. He has a couple of confrontations with Bullseye. Some they're kind of on the same side, some they're not. So here, this is where it started really revealing what T-Ray's role was with Deadpool. It's something that I didn't really expect. It doesn't really fundamentally change the character. It's just more kind of a, oh, that's weird, sort of thing. But it is an important part of his past. So after Kelly, and there's other authors kind of put in there here and there as well. But the next part is predominantly Priest. So from 34 to 45 is Priest. There's one in there that's by somebody else. One or two, I think. Priest. They're still hurdling, and the rest are Priest. So in this entire run, this is the worst of it, in my opinion, is Priest's part in Deadpool, his about 10 issues of Deadpool, for a number of reasons. Some of it has to do with what he was trying to do with the character. Some of it had to do with, I think, his humor, the author, Priest's humor, and some of it is just being dated, I suppose. Everything else, I think, really stands the test of time. This piece does not, for a number of reasons. So, first of all, there's a lot of fat shaming in Priest's run, where there's one issue in particular, I don't remember which one, but there is a character who isn't, I would say, even overweight, just not, like comic book exceptionally thin, and the entire time he's just making fat jokes, and it's too much. It's way over the top. Like, first of all, it's just not being cool in the first place, but it's like almost every panel he's just like it didn't land at all. It was in bad taste. It didn't land. I think even at the time, it would have just been a bit over the top. He kept trying to do stuff, and I think he really tried to. I mean, some good homages in here, right? So, G.I. Joe and Alien homages. He really tried to do some stuff with the character. He tried to lean into Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. He would keep saying, like, this isn't real. Somewhere there's a man with a typewriter. And then after Priest's run, it's never talked about again. It's just completely dropped. Even within Priest's run, he doesn't tie it up himself. It's just a few times Deadpool says, somewhere there's a man in a room with a typewriter, alluding to that he's being written. But nothing ever comes with it. And in the rest of the run, there's no fourth wall breaking. It's bizarre. It doesn't fit. I don't know why they decided to drop that angle, but they did. He kept trying to give him like a catchphrase, I think. Every time someone would ask him a question, he'd say, the answer to your first question is shut up, SHADDUP. Like, once an issue, he'd say, well, the answer to your first question is shut up. And it's just, like, if he would have said it once, it would have been fine. Like, someone's asking some dumb questions, and the first question he says, shut up, and he answers the second one, I don't know. But he kept saying it. Like he was trying to make it a thing, right? It's like he's trying to make fetch happen, and it's not going to happen. He also puts a lot of dated references in here. A lot of references to Regis Philbin. I don't know why. I don't know what Priest had with Regis Philbin, but he talks about Regis a lot, just in some of Deadpool's quips. It was the hardest piece to get through. It was not good for a number of reasons. After that, let's see, Palmiotti takes over for a while. Let's see, here-ish maybe. They stopped putting the creators on some of the covers at some point. And Palmiotti's stint, about another 10 issues. It's okay. It's fine. Palmiotti's run and the next person, Thierry's run, are both serviceable Deadpool. They're not fantastic Deadpool, but they're serviceable Deadpool. It's definitely a lot better than Priest. But for the most part, it feels like Palmiotti and coming up next, Thierry. I mean, there's obviously still some wackiness. We can see here this homage to Detective Comics and Robin. It feels very... he's very just a mercenary, right? He still has a little bit of that Deadpoolness, but not a lot. I mean, it is the early 2000s. We start to see a lot of this, of just like for no reason, scantily clad, impossibly proportioned girls and women. Like it starts getting real heavy here. And this is not just Deadpool. I mean, this was kind of that time, right? It doesn't age super well. I think it's easy to see where comics of this time were kind of a turnoff for females, where it was very, very hyper-sexualized. Not that that's not still an issue today, but I think it was really bad in the 2000s, in my opinion. there was a cool 2-part story with the Punisher. Steve Dillon did the cover art for both, I believe. No, just for this one. I don't know who this cover art is by. It's very familiar though. But Steve Dillon had a really good run with Punisher for a while, so that was cool that he did that cover art. And this is another famous Punisher cover artist or artist. He did like Marvel Knights. Name's escaping me. Yeah. So after that was Thierry, who is the second to last. Yes, who was the second to last writer. It's very similar to the Palmiotti's and Thierry's bled into each other very well. It felt like the same take on Deadpool. You know, he's basically a mercenary. He's a little quirky. Weird stuff happens to him. Deadpool dies. It was kind of an interesting little arc here. Nice, Superman, Death of Superman homage. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. This was kind of fun. Another Death of Superman homage where these different versions of Deadpool pop up. It was kind of strange. But it was fun. Again, it's Deadpool, so weird stuff is going to happen. But it definitely doesn't lean into his craziness as much as Kelly really set the bar for. Now, the last bit of it, which it was way too short, only 5 issues. Gail Simone and Udon were issues 65 through 69. And again, here we have classic 2000s hypersexualized drawings of women. That aside, this right here, so I think Kelly did a really good job of laying the groundwork of what we know today as Deadpool. Simone and Udon perfected it. Even though they only were on this for 5 issues, I think if they had been able to go longer, it would have been the best Deadpool that we had seen to date. Maybe not even just then, but up to now. It is fantastic. The art is amazing. It's Udon, right? Udon is freaking incredible. This Rhino being brought into here is great. Deadpool gets some Pym particles on him, and he's fighting Rhino, and he sprays him with the Pym particles, and Rhino shrinks down, and he just has a little Rhino buddy for a while. He puts him on a keychain and straps him to his belt. It's fantastic. It's so good. It's a travesty to not know where they could have kept going if it hadn't been canceled. And I don't understand why it would have been canceled with how good it was. And leading up to it, the Thierry stuff was good. So I don't see why it would have been canceled because of low numbers there. But with Simone and Udon, it's probably the best 5 issues of Deadpool there are. At least it's up there. And the art is beautiful. The story is great. It's more like the Deadpool we see today than Kelly's Deadpool, right? Again, Kelly laid the groundwork of what we know, but again, I think Simone really perfected it, and what we see as Deadpool today is sort of how Simone defined him, and it's a shame that we didn't get more of that. After Deadpool, Simone and Udon did go on to write Agent X, which I am absolutely going to read because I love this team up so much of Simone and Udon. And I want more of their collaboration because it was so fantastic. I would say, if anything, Deadpool issues are not cheap anymore. Like they haven't been cheap for a while. But if you like have Marvel Unlimited or something like that, at the very, very least, read through the Kelly stuff and the Simone stuff, and I think you'll get what you really need out of this entire run. And it's well worth the time. It's well worth the investment to read it. And getting this run, like I've had this run for a long time. I think I put it together soon after it had ended, so I've had it for a very, very long time. I just never got around to reading it until now, which is bonkers. But so getting this run is tough. It's real tough now, just with how much Deadpool exploded with popularity and all that. But if you do have something like Marvel Unlimited, which is well worth the price, do yourself the favor, read the Kelly stuff, read the Simone stuff, and I think you're good. But it's definitely worth it. Also, I had this as well that I read, Deadpool and Whittle Wade. Whittle Wade is a little clone of Deadpool that showed up in some issue, and this is just a one shot of a story with Deadpool and Whittle Wade. So it was fun. Not necessary. It's standalone, which is fine. It's fun, but Kelly and Simone stuff is, I think, in my opinion, absolutely necessary. So if you have the means, please go read it. But that's it. Again, as I said, it's a big run. We have 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 75, 74 issues total if you count the one shot and the extra issues and the annuals. I didn't bring out I have one of the annuals. I'm missing one, so I guess it's not a complete run if you count annuals, but I'll get it eventually. I have the important stuff. Anyway, let me know what you think. Is this a run that you have? Is it a run that you want? Is it something that you've read? What are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on the different authors and artists that spent their time on this very, very important run? As far as Deadpool is concerned. Anyone who's a Deadpool fan, again, I think should absolutely positively at least read the Kelly and Simone stuff 100%. But let me know your thoughts in the comment, and like and subscribe, all that. And of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.